I still remember the moment our scanners detected the pulse hidden beneath the layers of dust and debris. It was a frequency older than the stars themselves, a whisper from the cosmos that sent shivers down my spine. I was aboard the derelict spacecraft, the Starlight Voyager, drifting through a forgotten sector of the galaxy, a place where time seemed to stand still. The remnants of an ancient civilization surrounded me, their stories etched in the very fabric of the ship, yet I felt utterly alone in this vast emptiness. The control room was dimly lit, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. I could almost hear the ship's machinery groaning under the weight of its own history. My fingers hovered over the console, trembling with a mix of anticipation and dread. I knew I should have turned back. I should have left this forsaken place behind, but curiosity pulled me deeper into the void. I had spent years exploring the mysteries of the universe, but nothing could prepare me for this moment. Before I go on, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. I want to know how far my story travels across the stars. I activated the scanner, and the screen flickered to life, revealing a series of ancient symbols that danced across the interface. They pulsed with an otherworldly energy, resonating with a frequency that felt almost alive. I leaned closer, my heart racing, as the symbols began to align, forming a coherent pattern. It was a map, but not one that I recognized. The coordinates it displayed led to a region of space that was uncharted, untouched by humanity. A chill ran through me as I realized the implications. What lay at those coordinates? Were there remnants of the civilization that had once thrived here? Or had they left something far more dangerous behind? My mind raced with possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. I could feel the weight of the universe pressing down on me, the enormity of my discovery threatening to swallow me whole. And then, without warning, the device activated. A surge of energy coursed through the ship, illuminating the control room in a blinding light. I stumbled back, shielding my eyes, as the pulse resonated through the hull. It was as if the ship itself had awakened from a long slumber, responding to the call of the ancient device. The sound was deafening, a cacophony of static and echoes that reverberated through the very core of my being. In that moment, I understood the gravity of my actions. I had unwittingly unleashed something powerful, something that had been dormant for millennia. The device was a beacon, a signal sent out into the cosmos, and I was its unwitting herald. I felt a mixture of awe and dread as I realized that I was not alone in this vast expanse. The universe was listening. As the light faded, I regained my composure and looked at the screen. The coordinates blinked ominously, urging me to follow them. I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest. Part of me wanted to flee, to escape the unknown dangers that lay ahead. But another part, the explorer within me, yearned to uncover the truth. I had always sought the mysteries of the universe, and now the universe had called me forth. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the journey ahead. I initiated the ship's systems, feeling the familiar hum of the engines as they roared to life. The Starlight Voyager was old, but it had been my home for years, a vessel that had carried me through the darkest corners of space. I felt a surge of determination as I plotted a course for the coordinates. Whatever awaited me out there, I would face it head-on. As the ship surged forward, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The stars outside the viewport seemed to flicker with an intensity I had never seen before, as if they were alive and aware of my presence. I glanced at the control panel, the readings fluctuating wildly. Something was happening, and I was at the center of it. The journey was fraught with turbulence. Cosmic anomalies began to warp the space around me, distorting my path and threatening to tear the ship apart. I gripped the controls tightly, fighting against the forces that sought to pull me off course. The remnants of the ancient civilization loomed large in my mind, their secrets buried beneath the fabric of time. What had they known? What had they feared? I pressed on, the coordinates guiding me through the chaos. Each pulse of the device resonated with a growing urgency, a call to action that I could not ignore. I felt a connection to the past, a thread woven through the tapestry of existence that tied me to those who had come before. They had left their mark on the universe, and now it was my turn to uncover their legacy. As I navigated through the tumultuous waves of space, memories of my past flooded my mind. I recalled the first time I had ventured into the unknown, the thrill of discovery mingled with the fear of the dark. I had always been drawn to the mysteries of the universe, but this was different. This was a reckoning, a confrontation with the very essence of existence. The ship shuddered violently as I approached the coordinates. I could feel the energy building, a palpable force that crackled in the air. The ancient device pulsed with a rhythm that echoed my own heartbeat, a reminder that I was not merely an observer in this cosmic dance. I was a participant, a player in a game far larger than myself. And then, as if the universe itself had exhaled, I broke through the chaos. Before me lay a planet, shrouded in mist and shadow. It was beautiful and haunting, a world untouched by time, yet filled with an unsettling sense of foreboding. The coordinates had led me here, to a place that felt both familiar and alien. I brought the ship into orbit, my breath hitching in my throat as I surveyed the landscape below. Ancient structures jutted from the surface, their forms twisted and worn by the passage of time. They were relics of a civilization long gone, their secrets waiting to be unearthed. I felt a pull toward the surface, an undeniable urge to explore the remnants of a world that had once thrived. But as I prepared for descent, a voice echoed in my mind, a warning that chilled me to the core. I had awakened something that should have remained undisturbed. The device had not merely activated, it had called forth the echoes of the past, and I was now entangled in a web of cosmic consequences. With a deep breath, I initiated the landing sequence, my heart racing as the ship descended toward the surface. The planet's atmosphere crackled with energy, and I could feel the weight of history pressing down upon me. I had come seeking answers, but I was about to discover that the truth could be far more dangerous than I had ever imagined. As the ship touched down, a sense of finality washed over me. I was no longer just an explorer. I was a harbinger of change, a catalyst for events that would ripple through the fabric of the universe. I stepped into the unknown, ready to confront the legacy of the ancients and the secrets they had left behind. The journey was just beginning, and I could feel the tremors of destiny unfolding around me. As I stepped out of the ship, the air felt thick with anticipation, charged with the echoes of an ancient past. The ground beneath my feet was uneven, littered with fragments of stone and metal that hinted at the civilization that had once thrived here. The structures loomed above me, their silhouettes stark against the swirling mist that clung to the planet like a shroud. I could sense the weight of history pressing down on me, a reminder that I was not the first to tread upon this soil, nor would I be the last. The device had led me here for a reason, and I felt an insatiable urge to uncover its secrets. With each step, I felt the tension in the air grow thicker, as if the very atmosphere was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. I glanced back at my ship, its metallic form glinting in the dim light, a solitary beacon in a world lost to time. It felt both comforting and isolating, a reminder of my connection to humanity, even as I ventured deeper into the unknown. As I approached the nearest structure, I could see intricate carvings etched into the stone, their meanings long obscured by the passage of millennia. I reached out to touch the surface, my fingers brushing against the cool stone. A jolt of energy surged through me, a connection to the past that sent shivers down my spine. I could almost hear the whispers of those who had come before, their hopes and dreams woven into the fabric of this place. But as I stood there, a sense of unease began to creep in. The device had awakened something, and I could feel it lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts. I was here to explore, to uncover the mysteries of this ancient civilization, not to succumb to fear. I took a deep breath and pressed forward, determined to find answers. The path led me through a narrow passageway, the walls closing in around me. The air grew colder, the silence oppressive, as if the very universe was holding its breath. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, a steady reminder of my own mortality. I had faced danger before, but this felt different. There was a weight to the unknown that pressed down on me, threatening to crush my resolve. As I emerged from the passage, I found myself in a vast chamber, illuminated by an otherworldly glow. The walls were adorned with murals depicting scenes of celestial battles, ancient beings wielding unimaginable power, and the rise and fall of civilizations. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that these were not mere stories. They were warnings, echoes of a time when the universe had been at war. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, and atop it lay a second device, similar to the one that had awakened me aboard my ship. It pulsed with a soft light, a heartbeat in the darkness. I approached cautiously, my instincts screaming for me to turn back, yet my curiosity propelled me forward. What secrets lay within this device? What horrors had it witnessed? As I reached out to touch it, the air crackled with energy, and the device sprang to life. A wave of force surged through the chamber, sending me stumbling back. I could feel the power radiating from it, a force that was both alluring and terrifying. I had awakened something far greater than myself, and I could sense its hunger, its desire to connect with the universe once more. Suddenly, the walls began to tremble, and the ground shook beneath my feet. I realized with horror that the activation of the device was not without consequences. The ancient structures around me creaked and groaned, as if they were protesting the disturbance. I had unleashed something that had been dormant for eons, and now it was reaching out, calling forth the remnants of a long-forgotten conflict. I stumbled back toward the entrance, my heart racing as the tremors intensified. The murals on the walls began to shift, the figures coming to life in a chaotic dance of light and shadow. I could hear their cries, a cacophony of anguish and fury that echoed through the chamber. The atmosphere felt charged, electric, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling around me. I burst through the passageway, gasping for breath as I emerged into the open air. The landscape had changed. The once serene beauty of the planet was now marred by chaos. Dark clouds roiled overhead, and the ground trembled beneath me. I could feel the energy building, a storm of cosmic proportions brewing on the horizon. In that moment, I realized the truth. I had not merely discovered a relic of the past. I had ignited a conflict that had been waiting to resurface. The device had transmitted coordinates not only to me, but to others who were now aware of its existence. I was no longer alone in this journey. I had unwittingly become a player in a game far beyond my comprehension. As I sprinted back to my ship, the echoes of the past resonated in my mind. I could feel the weight of the choices I had made, the burden of responsibility settling upon my shoulders. I had come seeking answers, but I had unleashed something that could alter the course of the galaxy. The stakes were higher than I had ever imagined, and I could feel the eyes of the universe upon me. I reached the ship and scrambled inside, my fingers trembling as I initiated the launch sequence. The ship's systems hummed to life, but I could sense the chaos outside, the storm brewing in the depths of space. I glanced at the control panel, the device's coordinates still glowing ominously. I had to make a choice, follow the path it had laid out for me, or flee from the consequences of my actions. Before I could think, the ship lurched upward, breaking free from the planet's surface. I felt the weight of the world fall away as I ascended into the void, but the tension remained. I could sense the presence of others, factions drawn to the device like moths to a flame. The galaxy was awakening, and I was at the center of it all. As I entered the depths of space, I could see the remnants of the ancient civilizations scattered across the stars. I felt a connection to them, a shared history that transcended time and space. But with that connection came a realization. I was part of a larger narrative, a tale woven into the fabric of the universe. The device had chosen me, and now I had to navigate the treacherous waters of the cosmos. I set a course for the coordinates, my heart pounding in my chest. The ship surged forward, propelled by a mixture of fear and determination. I was no longer just an explorer. I was a catalyst for change, a harbinger of a conflict that had been waiting to unfold. The echoes of the past resonated in my mind as I prepared to confront the unknown.
As I approached the coordinates, the stars began to shift, forming a constellation that felt eerily familiar. I could sense the energy building around me, a force that was both inviting and foreboding. I had come seeking knowledge, but I was about to discover that the universe had its own plans for me. The ship shuddered as I entered the vicinity of the coordinates, and I could see the outline of a massive structure looming ahead. It was a space station, ancient and decrepit, drifting through the void like a ghost. I could feel its presence, a remnant of a time long past, and I knew that whatever lay within its walls would change everything.
I hesitated for a moment, the weight of my choices pressing down on me. I had awakened the device, ignited a conflict, and now I was standing on the precipice of discovery. I took a deep breath and steeled myself for what was to come. I was ready to confront the legacy of the ancients, to uncover the truth that had been hidden for so long. With a final surge of determination, I guided the ship toward the station, ready to face whatever awaited me in the darkness. The echoes of the past reverberated in my mind, a reminder of the choices that had led me here. I was no longer alone. The universe was watching, and I was about to become a part of its grand tapestry. The silence between stars is a paradox, a vast emptiness that holds the weight of countless stories untold. As I drifted through the void, the remnants of the ancient space station loomed before me, a haunting silhouette against the backdrop of the cosmos. I had crossed the threshold into the unknown, yet the solitude felt more profound than ever. It was as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for me to make my next move. Inside the ship, the control panel flickered with an eerie glow, casting shadows that danced across my face. I could feel the pulse of the device still resonating within me, a heartbeat that echoed my own. The coordinates it had transmitted were not merely a destination, they were an invitation, one I had accepted with trepidation. Now, as I prepared to dock with the station, I was acutely aware of the weight of my choices. The silence felt deafening, a reminder of the isolation that came with the pursuit of knowledge. I initiated the docking sequence, my hands trembling slightly as I navigated the ship toward the station's airlock. The ancient structure appeared battered, yet there was a beauty in its decay, a testament to a civilization that had once thrived. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was intruding on a sacred space, a tomb filled with the echoes of its creators. As the ship latched onto the station, I took a moment to gather my thoughts, to confront the swirling emotions within me. What was I hoping to find? Answers? Redemption? Or perhaps a deeper understanding of the universe and my place within it? The questions loomed large, but beneath the surface another fear simmered. What if I uncovered truths that were best left buried? I had awakened the device, and now I had to face the consequences of my actions. The galaxy was stirring, and I could feel its pulse quickening, as if anticipating the revelation that awaited me. With a deep breath, I activated the airlock and stepped into the station. The atmosphere was thick with dust, the remnants of a time long past. My footsteps echoed as I moved through the dimly lit corridors, a solitary figure in a world frozen in time. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings, stories etched into the very fabric of the station. I traced my fingers over the surfaces, feeling the energy of the ancients coursing through me. In this silence, I began to understand the enormity of what lay before me. The device had not merely transmitted coordinates, it had awakened something deep within me, a connection to a legacy that transcended time. I was not just an explorer, I was a part of a larger narrative, a thread woven into the tapestry of existence. The isolation I felt was not just the absence of sound, it was the weight of history pressing down on me. As I ventured deeper into the station, I stumbled upon a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. At the center stood a massive structure, pulsating with energy, the heart of the device. It was a sight to behold, a fusion of technology and artistry that transcended my understanding. I approached cautiously, feeling the hum of power resonate through the air. This was the source of the beacon, the catalyst that had drawn me here. I reached out, my fingers grazing the surface of the device. A surge of energy coursed through me, and visions flooded my mind. Images of stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, and the interconnectedness of all life. The device was not merely a tool, it was a bridge, a means of communication that transcended the boundaries of space and time. I saw the faces of those who had come before me, their hopes and dreams interwoven with my own. The realization struck me like a lightning bolt. I was not alone in this journey. But with this awakening came a heavy burden. The device had the potential to connect civilizations, to forge alliances and share knowledge, but it also held the power to unleash chaos. The energy I felt was both inviting and dangerous, a reminder of the responsibility that accompanied such knowledge. I had to tread carefully. The galaxy was teetering on the brink of conflict, and I was caught in the middle. As I stood before the device, I felt the weight of my choices pressing down on me. I could use this power to unite the factions that sought to claim it for themselves, or I could destroy it, ensuring that its potential for destruction was never realized. The decision weighed heavily on my conscience, a moral dilemma that echoed through the silence of the station. I took a step back, my heart racing as I considered the implications of my actions. The silence was no longer a void. It was filled with the voices of those who had come before me, urging me to choose wisely. I closed my eyes, allowing the energy of the device to wash over me, and in that moment, I understood. The universe was not merely a collection of stars and planets. It was a living entity, a tapestry woven from the threads of countless lives. I opened my eyes, determination coursing through me. I could not shy away from this responsibility. I had to embrace it. The device was a beacon, not just for lost civilizations, but for humanity itself. I had a choice to make, and I would not let fear dictate my actions. I would seek to understand the device, to unlock its secrets, and to use its power for good. With renewed purpose, I began to explore the chamber, searching for any clues that might illuminate the path ahead. The walls were adorned with more carvings, depicting scenes of unity and connection among different species. I could feel the energy of the ancients guiding me, urging me to delve deeper into their wisdom. As I traced the intricate designs, I began to see a pattern emerge, a blueprint for collaboration, a guide to building bridges where once there were walls. But as I immersed myself in the knowledge of the ancients, a chilling realization struck me. The device had not only awakened dormant forces, it had also drawn the attention of those who would seek to exploit its power. I could feel the tension building, the pulse of the galaxy quickening as factions converged on the station. I was no longer just an observer, I was a player in a game that spanned the cosmos. The silence was shattered by the sound of distant engines, a reminder that I was not alone in this vast expanse. I had to act quickly. The stakes were higher than ever. I needed allies, those who would stand with me against the tide of chaos. I had glimpsed the potential for unity within the device's energy, and now I had to harness that power. Leaving the chamber, I retraced my steps to the ship, my mind racing with possibilities. I would reach out to those who had once been enemies, those who had fought over the remnants of the ancients. If the device could connect civilizations, perhaps it could also mend the rifts that had formed between us. The galaxy was on the brink of war, but I refused to accept that fate. I would be the catalyst for change, the voice of reason in a time of turmoil. As I entered the ship, I initiated a series of communications, sending out a distress signal to the factions I had encountered in my journey. I laid bare the truth of the device, its potential for connection, and the threat that loomed over us all. I could only hope that my words would resonate, that they would reach those who were willing to listen. The silence that had once enveloped me was now filled with the hum of technology, a reminder that I was not alone in this fight. The ship's systems came alive, and I felt a surge of hope as I prepared to make my case.
I had awakened the device, and now it was time to awaken the hearts of those who would stand with me. As I awaited a response, I couldn't shake the feeling that the universe was watching, waiting to see how this chapter of our story would unfold. The silence between stars had transformed into a cacophony of possibilities, each one a thread in the tapestry of existence. I was ready to weave my own narrative to connect the dots that had long been scattered across the cosmos. The first response came through, a crackling voice filled with skepticism. It was a representative from one of the factions I had hoped to unite. "You think you can just call us together after everything that's happened?" I took a deep breath, steadying my voice. I know the history between us is fraught with conflict, but the device has awakened something greater than we can comprehend. We stand on the brink of a war that could consume us all. If we do not unite, we risk losing everything. There was a long pause on the other end, the weight of my words hanging in the air. "And what makes you think we can trust you? You've been on your own this entire time." "I haven't been alone," I replied, my conviction growing stronger. "I've felt the energy of the ancients, their wisdom guiding me. This device was meant to connect us, to bridge the gaps between our civilizations. We have a choice, to continue this cycle of violence or to forge a new path together." The voice hesitated, and I could sense the internal struggle. "You're asking for a lot. What's in it for us?"
Survival, I said simply. If we do not work together, we will fall to those who seek to exploit the device's power. We can either fight each other or stand united against a common threat. The choice is ours to make. Silence hung in the air once more, but this time it felt different. I had planted a seed of doubt in their minds, a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, they could see beyond their grievances. "I'll take this to my leaders," the voice finally said, "but know this, if you're lying, there will be consequences." "I wouldn't expect anything less," I replied, my heart pounding in my chest. The first step had been taken, but it was only the beginning. I had to reach out to others, to rally those who would stand with me against the tide of chaos. As I initiated communications with other factions, I felt the weight of the universe pressing down on me. The silence between stars was no longer a void. It was filled with the potential for connection, for unity in the face of adversity. I was determined to harness that energy, to awaken the hearts of those who had once been enemies. The responses began to trickle in, each one a reflection of the uncertainty that permeated the galaxy. Some were skeptical, others outright hostile, but a few expressed a willingness to listen. I knew I had to keep pushing, to keep reaching out. The device had awakened something within me, and I was determined to share that energy with others. As I worked tirelessly to forge alliances, I began to feel a shift in the atmosphere. The silence that had once felt oppressive now crackled with anticipation. I could sense the galaxy stirring, the factions beginning to rally around the idea of unity. We were on the brink of something monumental, and I was at the center of it all. But even as hope blossomed, I could not shake the feeling that danger lurked just beyond the horizon. The device had drawn attention, and I could feel the presence of those who would seek to claim its power for themselves. The galaxy was awakening, and I was determined to ensure that we faced it together. The final response came through, a voice filled with authority and resolve. "We will meet," the representative declared. "But know this, trust is earned, not given freely. We will be watching you closely." I nodded, even though they couldn't see me. "I understand. I will do everything in my power to earn that trust." As I ended the communication, I felt a surge of determination. The silence between stars had transformed into a chorus of voices, each one a thread in the tapestry of existence. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, to embrace the uncertainty of the cosmos. The device was not just a tool, it was a catalyst for change, a means of forging connections that transcended the boundaries of space and time. I had awakened something greater than myself, and now it was time to harness that energy for good. With renewed purpose, I set my course for the meeting point, a neutral ground where the factions could come together to discuss the future. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but I was ready to face them head-on. The silence between stars was no longer a void. It was filled with the promise of connection, of unity in the face of adversity. As I approached the designated coordinates, I felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on me. I was no longer just an explorer. I was a beacon of hope, a catalyst for change. The device had awakened something within me, and I was determined to see it through to the end. The meeting would be a turning point, a chance to forge alliances and confront the darkness that threatened to consume us all. I could feel the energy of the ancients guiding me, urging me to embrace the power of connection. The silence between stars was no longer a barrier. It was a bridge, a means of uniting civilizations in the face of chaos. As I prepared to enter the meeting, I took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought me here. The choices I had made, the risks I had taken, all led to this moment. I was ready to face the unknown, to embrace the uncertainty of the cosmos. The universe was watching, waiting to see how this chapter of our story would unfold. With a final surge of determination, I stepped into the meeting, ready to confront the legacy of the ancients and to forge a new path for humanity among the stars. The silence between stars had transformed into a symphony of possibilities, each one a thread in the tapestry of existence. I was ready to weave my own narrative, to connect the dots that had long been scattered across the cosmos.